It's very helpful. Right? A marriage that is based purely on reason. That's all there is between the two people. That's not going to work. Like, it's going to be very boring, and it's going to end very quickly. And there has to be some stimulation of emotion somehow. There has to be that desire and that reverence. There has to be something there. But at the same time, emotions without that reason at the beginning is a cheap cheat, basically. You're cheating people. And I see that all the time, where a lot of pumping of talking about nar and talking about Jannah and talking, but the person in front of you doesn't even understand who God is and why should we be doing this to begin with. That burns out quickly. And people start getting bored of hearing all of this stuff. Because the argument of da'wah is not based on Jannah and nar in its core. It's based on something much more philosophically profound, which is what Surat Al-Qiyama talks about. Once you establish that and it's clear to you why it's important for you to know Allah and to live as He speaks and as He teaches, then the supplemental part of reward and punishment become very powerful motives to keep you on the track. Because what keeps you on the track is not your reason. That's what puts you on the track. What keeps you on the track is your emotion. It's not the reason. The reason gets you in. It's all these different tracks. What puts you on this one is the reasoning for it. It makes sense. You thought about it. You broke it down. You analyzed it. This is what critically thinking makes. This is where the right win. Now, how do I stay on that and don't deviate and fall off and go in different directions? You need some motivation. When you have good, when you have good rewards and scary punishments, it keeps you on. It keeps you on. Just like driving. You can't drive based on emotion. You have to drive based on reason. You have to know why. Right? But then if you have punishments, it keeps you on the track. It keeps you driving correctly. It keeps you from running the red lights and driving like a maniac. Right? Even though you know the reason, you have the reason, you know exactly what's correct and how to drive. But without those punishments, without those problems, and even with them, unfortunately, most of our community doesn't seem to know how to drive cars. By the way, we have a problem in wellness specifically. I have the majority of people who attend wellness. They're here, they're listening to the Quran, they're in their tears. They walk outside and they turn to Mad Max and they start. Basically they see Gainsborough as a part of the Formula One track, and then we have the number of people who have lost their licenses and their cars and got is ridiculous. And then I spread myself out a little bit into other parts of my community. I found this is a Muslim problem. It's a Muslim problem where we're driving, I don't know what it is, like we don't apply our ethics on the road somehow. Like when we get into our cars, we turn into warriors. This is a war and I'm out there to fight the world, and they stop and they drive. And I watch people, once I'm standing and someone yelled at me. I'm a pedestrian and I'm walking and someone sped beside me and they didn't know it was me, and until this day they don't know that I know that they did that. I never brought it up to them because they didn't notice it was me. I wasn't dressed like a sheikh. I was just walking beside Victoria Hospital. And absolute maniac driving. Very muhtaram person. Just not on the road, unfortunately. So, subhanAllah, the point of punishments, that was a rant I did. But the point of punishments is to keep people on the track of doing what makes sense to them. Right? That's why we have punishments and rewards. It keeps you there. And that's why da'wah is very effective when you do it that way. If your da'wah lacks one of the three. If your da'wah lacks on the reason or lacks on the desire and reward or the reverence of the punishment, then there'll always be a missing piece. But it's better to have the body, in my opinion, than to lack it. Like having two wings without a body is useless, but having a body without two wings, you may get somewhere. So I think, which is why Surat Al-Qiyama comes first. It's the shortest of the three, but it's absolutely the most profound of the three. And it's one of the most famous surahs in the Quran. I don't think there's almost anyone who has at some point in their lives memorized it or recited it or found beauty in it. And we're going to go through it, inshallah, and take our time. I think there's a lot of learning points that we can all benefit from. So we'll start with Surah Al-Qiyama. Again, it's a Makki surah, as all of these surahs in this juz are, from Mulk to Al-Mursalat. All of them are Makki. None of them were revealed in Medina. Maybe we talked about the verse that exists in Surah Al-Muzammil at the end of it. I pointed out that surah, that ayah, may have been revealed in Medina specifically. Some scholars say it's more before Hijrah, right before Hijrah, but it could be revealed in Medina. And maybe there's an ayah or two in Surah Al-Insan that a few scholars say that it is revealed in Medina. But aside from that, this is a pure Makki juz from Mulk to Al-Mursalat. So we'll start with Surah Al-Qiyama, inshallah, recitation, and we'll finish, inshallah, just before 9 and let you go. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم لا أقسم بيوم القيامة ولا أقسم بالنفس اللوامة أيحسب الإنسان أن لن نجمع عظامه So watch out whenever you have two ains in a row consecutively, and both of them have a haraka on them. This is where the halq, the throat, doesn't enjoy this exercise. Is an acrobatic for it. So najma'i, najma'i. So it's not najma'i idama. Just some recitations, like Imam As-Susi, he would yadghimha, he puts them together. So lan najma' idama. There's a recitation that way. That's not ours. So ours we have to, we do it the fatha and the kasra. So you have to put in the effort. Najma' idama. So get them all, but get both of them, are enunciated appropriately. بلى قادرين على أن نسوي بنانه بل يريد الإنسان ليفجر أمامه So let's talk about these first 5 ayats. So he says, لا أقسم. And I've talked about this a number of times in the past, and I'm just going to quickly explain it. So la is to deny something, and uqsim is I swear or I take an oath by something. So he's not saying I don't take an oath by something. He's emphasizing that he takes an oath. Well, why is he? Or how is that possible if he's saying no at the beginning? So in the Arabic language, what he's trying to say is that I don't have to do it, but I will. In Arabic, have you ever heard someone come up to you, like they'll say "Malak alay yamin," meaning I don't have to swear for you, but I don't have to take an oath for you, but I will. So that uqsim means I don't really need to make an oath for you to tell you that this is true, but I'm going to make the oath anyway. So figure of speech in the Arabic language, and so when you say I don't swear by something, you're actually emphasizing the fact that you swear by something, and it's just how kind of the Arabic language works. I don't want to, I did like a 15-minute thing on this in the past. You can go back and listen to it. So he subhanahu wa ta'ala is taking an oath by the day of judgment. Now, it has to be to a certain degree interesting to you, if it's not, that the first word of command that came after Surat Al-Muzammil was qum, ya ayyuhal muzammilu qum, and he was going to talk to him about taking a stand for himself, whether it's in salah, in Quran, in dhikr, in tasbih, in tawakkul, all these things that helped him alayhi salatu wasalam become the man he became, and helped the Sahaba become the people they became later on. And if we do it right, then it'll help us become people that we would have more strength, right? And then the second surah, Ya al-Muddathir, also the first command is qum, take a stand for the world, take a stand that's going to actually impact the world around you. And then the surah after is going to be called Al-Qiyama, which comes from the same root, like it's the same root of word. So Al-Qiyama, they say, or the word Qiyama can mean from standing, Qiyam, where you're standing for a long time, and that's one way of understanding the Day of Judgment, where you're standing for a long time. Another way of understanding, which is more appropriate in my opinion, Qiyamah is the day where stands are going to be taken. Right now, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has not taken the stand regarding us. We are left. We are left to our choices and for our desires and what we want to do. We're left. Do what you want. Subhanahu wa ta'ala is not striking people down with lightning every time they decide to do something wrong. That's not how the world is working. He is not taking out oppressors the moment they oppress. That's not what he's doing, subhanahu wa ta'ala. He's letting the world, nature function in a certain way. Nature has a lot of interesting aspects to it. Some of them are desirable and helpful, and some of them are painful and difficult, but the world is functioning, and subhanahu wa ta'ala is allowing us to function under his decree, subhanahu wa ta'ala. On the day of judgment, we call it judgment, day of qiyamah, is where there's no more of that. A stand is going to be taken. Meaning a stand of you is going to be taken. You are going to be labeled. And a stand towards you is going to exist. There's going to be a judgment about you, good or bad. Right now, I cannot judge you, and I can't label you, and I definitely cannot label myself. I can't say I am good or I am bad. I don't know. I'm trying to be good. I know that I'm doing a lot of things that are bad, and ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to forgive me. But I don't know. The final judgment, the stand towards me is not taken. We do this through history. We take a figure that lived, and then we study it and study it and study it. What are we trying to do? We're trying to figure out what stand we take towards this figure, good or bad. We all agreed about Hitler, right? There's a full agreement worldwide. Hitler, not good. Like we've agreed that this is a bad person. Khalas, we're done. We've decided. Other figures, some figures we know they are good, and some figures they're controversial. Some groups say good, and some groups say bad, and it's all depending on who's studying the history and what the criteria they're using and what judgment they're offering, right? We're not supposed to do that, but that's how human beings function, right? Yawm al-Qiyamah is where judgments are going to be taken. Stands are going to be made clear. And those stands are going to be based on whatever stands you took. The Qiyamah is where you're going to be given a final judgment. Here's what you were. But that is going to be based on the stands that you took. What stands did you take in your life? What did you stand for? Based on what you stood for, you're going to get a judgment from Allah. Like He'll stand from you, depending on where you stood from Him. Does that make sense? He will stand from you, subhanahu wa ta'ala, figuratively speaking, obviously, Jalla Jalalullah. On the day of judgment, He will stand from you based on where you stood from Him. But it's a day where there's no longer open. Right now it's open, it's fluid. It's fluid. You could be anything. I have no idea. You could be anything. You could be ranked number 2 or 3 in the world. You could be, I don't know. I could be the same. No one knows because that judgment, that stand has not been taken yet. We are taking stands, hoping that the accumulative outcome of all these stands that we take allow us a judgment that is in our favor. Where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on the day of Qiyamah, where it's not left anymore, there's no more time being offered, no more opportunities. There's no extensions for you to try and change the outcome. Khalas. You can't appeal it. Right? If there was an appeal, then it wouldn't be Yawm al-Qiyamah. If you could appeal it later on and say, I want to redo on my hisab. No, there's no judgment is going to happen. Whatever you hear is what's going to occur. There's no appeal system. Which is why he calls it Yawm al-Qiyamah. Everything comes to a halt. And a full stand is taken by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala regarding everything. What was once obscure, ambiguous, and unknown is no longer going to be any of those things. It's going to be very clear. He's going to clarify all of it. All 100 billion people that have lived. That's the estimately on earth. All 100 billion of us are going to be offered each a stand of where we stand. What judgment is offered to us. Which is why it's called Yawm al-Qiyamah. It's a very hard day. This is a difficult day. By any measure, it's going to be difficult. Because that's hard. That's hard for people to not have any more, to not have options, and to not have an appeal process, not to be able to remove this or change it or abolish it from their record or go back and no, khalas, this is it. Right? In dunya, you get there's a judgment against you. You can go back and appeal. You can get it removed at some point if you're mazlum. In akhirah, that's it. Khalas, you're stuck with this. This is you. This is you. There's nothing you can change about that, and it's painful. It's painful because, everything else in this world, you can find a way to go back and do something different and change your legacy, right? And change the definition of who you were and the stands you took. Imagine someone who's been supporting genocide and supporting apartheid and supporting Zionism and supporting evil in this world and supporting this and supporting that and supporting haram, and they supported it for 60, 70 years, and then the last year of their life they decided they were wrong and they supported everything the opposite. They wiped their slate. They wiped their slate and now they changed their stand. But Yawm al-Qiyamah, that's it. That's gone. Whatever you did is what you did. So he swears, he takes an oath, subhanahu wa ta'ala, Yawm al-Qiyamah, with the day where the stands are going to be taken, where there are no more options. There's no possibility for anything to be different. That's the first one. So that's and he uses the name that is of reason. Like the Yawm al-Qiyamah has many names, right? Yawm al-Taghabun, Yawm al-Hashr, Yawm al-Fasl, a lot of words. There's over 16 names for the Day of Judgment in the Quran. Many of them are based on reverence and fear and reminders of fear for us, right? Yawm al-Qiyamah is the one that just talks about the reality of it. The reality of it is that no more judgment is going to be, al-Qiyamah, judgment is not going to be postponed anymore. And stands are going to be established. And everyone's going to be given a value number and a spot, and they're going to know where they belong. And those who are lucky enough to be on the good side will will be by default feel very humbled and fortunate to be there. They don't have time to look down on the others because they feel like we just barely made it. They're scared that if they go ahead and change their way they think, they maybe go join them. And the people who are on the wrong side have no way to appeal where they are, so it's done. It's a done deal, and it's very heavy. This part is actually probably the most painful of experiences regarding the Day of Judgment. The lack of ability to change your fate. We don't think about that piece because our fate is always something that we can influence. Like right now, your fate is absolutely in your hands. You're choosing it right now. Like you are making choices that are shaping your destiny and your fate in life. And at any point in life, as you go along, as long as you're breathing and your mind's working, you can change that fate. Yawm al-Qiyamah, it doesn't matter. You may completely change your mind on everything, and you will. I guarantee that you will. Like all of your bad opinions will cease to exist. All of your bad habits, Yawm al-Qiyamah, will cease to exist. All of the evil that you once carried in your heart will go away. All of the hatred that was motivating you will no longer be there. All of the opinions that were based on bigotry and arrogance and racism and whatever other evil ethics that Allah pointed out will no longer exist inside you. You will have a level of iman that is equivalent to the most mu'min person on earth today. Like the most mu'min person on earth today will barely be of level of iman of the worst human being to ever live in dunya, but on the Day of Judgment. On the Day of Judgment, they'll be filled with iman because the Day of Judgment will rid you of all of your bad habits. But there's no point. There's no point for you anymore, meaning you're not getting anything out of it. All of these lessons that you're learning, all the difficulties you're going through, all of the incidents or occurrences that you are witnessing that are changing and molding your understanding of things and changing your opinion, it just won't count. In dunya, anything you go through that is hard will change you, but it will count. Like if it affects you negatively or it puts you through difficulty and you persevere, for example, or you come to a near-death experience and it makes you think about things differently, you make changes, it'll all count for you. It's all changing your fate and your destiny. Yawm al-Qiyamah is not the ones who were writing the results stopped writing. The book that was once, it has an ending to it and it's closed. No one's watching, listening, or caring at all of what's happening to you. You're done. Your judgment is going to be offered to you. It's either yay or nay, and nothing that happens Yawm al-Qiyamah is going to change that, and nothing that changes, like no changes in your mind. Now, some people, they have a lot of sayyi'at, and the difficulties of Yawm al-Qiyamah will remove their sayyi'at for them, right? But that's different. That's more, it's like as if Yawm al-Qiyamah is a part of the punishment. So if you only had a certain amount of sin, and you get punished for that amount of sin, then you can be absolved by the end of Yawm al-Qiyamah. That's a different story. That's Yawm al-Qiyamah acting as a form of punishment. But your beliefs changing Yawm al-Qiyamah, your stands changing Yawm al-Qiyamah doesn't make a difference because it's the Day of Qiyamah. The stand has already been taken. It's been taken. It's done. It's done. The exam is over, and the stand has been taken. The results are up, and it's like yelling out the answer after you've given in your paper. It's like giving the exam, and then as you walk away, no, it was 7. Sorry, Allah ma'ak. It's done. I don't care. It's whatever's on the paper. Like no one cares. Why? Because you probably talked to someone who's smarter than you, and they told you the answer. Which is what happens Yawm al-Qiyamah. Yawm al-Qiyamah, you're surrounded by a lot of good people, and you start watching, and like, oh, that's how I should have lived. Ah, now I understand. This is how I want to be now. Yeah, sorry. No, that's not how this works. That's not how this works. You have to do this now. The beauty of it is that whatever you do now, it counts colossally. Like it counts in an astronomical way. Small changes you make now, a change that no one sees, you make it now, and it absolutely saves you. You can do whatever you want, Yawm al-Qiyamah. You can put on any show. You can perform a repentance that has never been seen in the history of repentance, and it's not going to add up to anything. So that's what Yawm al-Qiyamah is, just as a definition, because it's a word that we often use and we translate quickly and we don't think about, but that's what it means in Arabic. That's where it comes from. He's telling the Prophet, qum, take a stand. Take a stand. Al-Kahf, rabatna ala qulubihim idh qamu, when they took a stand. Now, regardless of what you do, you don't, and then you come to Yawm al-Qiyamah, where stands are going to be taken. So whether you did or you didn't, it's up to you. Right. Second oath, وَلَا أُقْسِمْ. Again, same kind of concept here. Second, number 1, number 2, النفس اللوامة. Nafs al-lawwama is your conscience. Right?